What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another video on the channel. Before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button down below, because it really helps support our work. And if you're not subscribed yet, take a second to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any updates. Also, turn on the notification bell so you'll be notified every time a new video drops. Now, let's jump into the content, because this one's unmissable. Since winning the NBA title in 2021, the Milwaukee Bucks haven't been able to recapture the same magic in their subsequent campaigns. Expectations were high, especially with the arrival of Damian Lillard, a top-tier offensive star. Fans believed that this new partnership with Giannis Antetokounmpo could reignite hopes for a second championship, but reality has been quite different. Despite winning the NBA Cup, a tournament of lesser significance, Milwaukee has yet to show enough strength to truly contend for the league's most coveted trophy. Things got even more complicated recently when Lillard was diagnosed with a serious health issue, deep vein thrombosis. This condition has sidelined him indefinitely, leaving a tough void to fill both on and off the court. And in this turbulent scenario, a big question starts to emerge. How long will Giannis keep believing in this project? The Greek star has always shown loyalty to the Milwaukee franchise, reaffirming his commitment in several interviews. However, no one wants to waste the prime years of their career on a team that can't stay among the top title contenders. The window of opportunity to shine is short, even for the NBA's biggest stars. If there's one team that could tug at Giannis's heart and competitive ambitions, it's the Golden State Warriors, a place where offensive basketball flows, stars shine together, and most importantly, where the championship ring is a real goal every single season. The Warriors' interest in building a roster capable of winning it all again is clear, especially with the recent arrival of Jimmy Butler from the Miami Heat. The trade that brought Butler to San Francisco already showed that the Warriors are willing to take risks to keep their winning era alive. They gave up key pieces like Andrew Wiggins and Kyle Anderson, but gained a natural competitor with grit and plenty of playoff experience. Now, with time running out on Stephen Curry's career, the Golden State front office may be ready to make an even bolder move, going after Giannis. What's brewing behind the scenes is a blockbuster move. The proposal? It would involve key players from the Warriors' rotation and young prospects who still have a lot to show. The idea would be to send to Milwaukee players like Draymond Green, Gary Payton II, Buddy Hield, Jonathan Kuminga, and Moses Moody. In addition, the package would include 2 valuable first-round draft picks, one in 2026 and another in 2028. For the Bucks, this offer might be irresistible. It's true that losing Giannis would mark the end of a glorious era, but it would also open the door for a solid rebuild. With Kuminga and Moody as central pieces for the future, Milwaukee would have young talent with potential to grow and lead the team back to competitiveness. Both are only 22 years old, and even though they haven't fully reached their potential yet, they've already shown flashes of being much more than just supporting players. Kuminga, for example, is putting up solid numbers this season: 15.8 points, 4.6 rebounds, and 2.3 assists per game. While he's had trouble fully establishing himself in Golden State's system, a new environment with more freedom and less pressure could be exactly what he needs to take off. Moody, on the other hand, is enjoying his best stretch in the league, contributing 10.1 points per game and a respectable 38.1% shooting from long range. And what about Green's presence in this potential deal? At 35 years old, he's no longer the relentless defender he once was, but he can still add a lot as a mentor to the younger guys. His experience, leadership, and basketball IQ would be valuable in a locker room going through a transition. Gary Payton II, in turn, could also be a useful rotation veteran, bringing defensive intensity and versatility. Golden State, on the other hand, knows that losing Green would be an emotional blow. His identity has always been intertwined with the team's DNA, but the reality of elite sports is ruthless. To keep alive the dream of one more title before Curry retires, the franchise is willing to make sacrifices. They've already given up other key pieces in the recent past. Now, Green might be next. The reward, the chance to form a terrifying trio with Stephen Curry, Jimmy Butler, and Giannis Antetokounmpo. A team that would bring together offensive firepower, elite defense, and a championship mindset. With those three names together, the Warriors could dream big once again. The space on the floor for Curry, for example, would be almost unprecedented, with Giannis and Butler drawing defensive attention with aggressive drives to the basket. This isn't just about numbers. It's a paradigm shift. This union would completely change the balance of power in the Western Conference. While other teams try to find their identity or rebuild their rosters, the Warriors would be ready to go all in. Coach Steve Kerr would have in his hands a versatile, experienced squad that's hungry for victories, above all else. Milwaukee, in turn, would be taking the first step in a new cycle. Giannis's departure would close a brilliant chapter, but also begin a new journey. With promising young talent and future draft picks, the Bucks would have the elements needed to build something meaningful again. The foundation would be set. The next step would be to develop, coach, and trust the process. Meanwhile, over in California, all eyes would turn to San Francisco's new superteam. Golden State, already with a title on Butler's resume and Curry's leadership guiding the squad, would now be adding the unstoppable engine that is Giannis, a piece that instantly elevates any team to title favorite status. With the board set, the pieces are beginning to move silently behind the scenes of the league. If this trade really materializes, it won't just be a bold roster move. It will be a direct statement of intent. Golden State isn't just trying to compete. They're aiming for dominance. In recent years, the NBA has witnessed a growing pursuit of superteam, rosters built on bold trades and risky investments, all to capitalize on brief windows of opportunity. And no one understands that better than the Warriors. They know the countdown has already begun for Stephen Curry. The point guard who redefined the game with his ability to shoot from anywhere on the court is still lethal, but he doesn't have many years left. By joining forces with two strong-willed, winning-profile athletes like Butler and Giannis, Golden State's plan is clear. Surround their icon with players who can share the load on both ends of the floor. Butler is a clutch-time specialist. Giannis is a physical monster with the ability to impact the game in any area, and Curry, with his offensive genius, only needs the slightest space to do damage. Together, they would form a balanced trio with multiple ways to win. This kind of move requires sacrifice, of course. Beyond the emotional toll of losing Green, the team would also be parting ways with two of its most promising young players. Kuminga and Moody are not just solid statistical performers. They represent the hope for renewal, the future of the franchise. But the future, at this moment, can wait. The priority now is the present. For the Milwaukee Bucks, this trade would be painful, but not senseless. When a player of Giannis's caliber begins to quietly question the direction of the franchise, it's a sign that the clock is ticking. Keeping a star of that level dissatisfied can be more destructive than trading him for pieces that bring hope and rebuild potential. And if we look at it objectively, the package offered by the Warriors is more than fair. Kuminga has an impressive physique, athletic and explosive. His shot is improving, and he's already shown the ability to score in isolation, run the floor in transition, and guard multiple positions. In a team that isn't in a rush to win now, he'd have the time and space to refine his game. Moody, in turn, is the kind of player every team wants around. Smart, disciplined, with a reliable shot and solid defensive awareness, he can be either a consistent starter or an efficient sixth man. Alongside Kuminga, he would form an interesting young core, especially with the guidance of veterans like Draymond Green and Gary Payton II. Green's arrival in Milwaukee wouldn't just have tactical impact. His leadership and winning mentality could help establish a new locker room culture, something essential after the departure of their most iconic player in recent years. The same goes for Payton, too, who brings energy and defensive commitment, along with an admirable work ethic. But perhaps the biggest asset in this deal for the Bucks would be the 2 first-round picks. In a landscape where rebuilds increasingly rely on the draft, having those picks in hand allows flexibility for future trades or bets on raw talent. With the right development, they could become pillars of a new winning project. And we can't forget about Tyler Smith, who, while not the centerpiece of the proposal, is a piece that could fit as a role player or even grow in importance within the Warriors' new system. He would help balance salaries and still add some depth to the bench. From a strategic standpoint, the Warriors' move is aggressive, but perfectly calculated. They know the competition is getting fiercer. The West is full of talented teams, and the margins for success are thinner than ever. A roster combining 3 players with such complementary characteristics as Curry, Butler, and Giannis is a trump card that's hard to ignore. This formation would also address one of Golden State's biggest issues in recent years: the difficulty in maintaining physical and defensive consistency throughout the regular season. Giannis and Butler are players who can carry the team at different moments, sparing Curry from unnecessary wear. Additionally, both are excellent defenders, capable of holding their own against top opposing stars, something crucial in an increasingly physical and tactical postseason. And what about chemistry? Many might question how 3 players with such distinct styles would mesh. But if we look at Butler and Giannis's histories, both have shown an ability to adapt. They're players who value winning over ego. And Curry is the kind of star who doesn't demand the spotlight at all costs. His mere presence on the court is enough to change the game. This union, if well managed, could form one of the most balanced partnerships of the modern NBA era. On the other hand, for Milwaukee, the focus would shift entirely. The pressure to win titles would give way to a phase of evaluation and development. The team would have time to figure out which direction to take, test different lineups, and most importantly, develop its new generation. It wouldn't be an easy mission, but it's a necessary path for teams that don't want to remain stuck in limbo for years. The decision to trade Giannis wouldn't just be a technical move. It would be emotional, symbolic, a turning point. He's more than a player in Milwaukee. He's an icon, a reference, an example. But even the greatest heroes need to move on when the environment no longer provides the ideal stage to keep winning. And at this point, the possibility of starting a new journey alongside 2 other fierce competitors could be the spark Giannis needs to fully rediscover his motivation. The negotiations haven't officially begun yet, but behind the scenes, word is that this Warriors proposal is already circulating among executives, and the tension is palpable. After all, if it goes through, it won't just change the fate of 2 teams. It could change the course of the entire league. If this move goes through, the dynamic between the conferences changes immediately. This isn't just another trade between 2 teams trying to adjust for the playoffs. It's a negotiation of epic proportions that could reshape the top of the NBA. And what makes it even more intriguing is that, unlike other super teams built in the past, this union between Curry, Butler, and Giannis has strong enough technical and mental foundations to work from the very beginning. Giannis, for example, has always stood out for his relentless mindset. He's never been driven by spotlights or glamour, but by hard work, constant growth, and loyalty. If he does leave Milwaukee, it will be marked by mutual respect. He gave everything he could to the franchise, and the 2021 championship is proof of that. But every cycle comes to an end, and if he truly heads to Golden State, it will be with the same focus that made him one of the biggest names in the game today. At Golden State, he would find a perfect ecosystem for his characteristics. The Warriors' offensive system, based on movement, quick cuts, and spacing, may seem very different from the way Giannis has played in recent years. But that doesn't mean he wouldn't fit in. On the contrary, imagine the freedom he would have with 2 players like Curry and Butler alongside him. Opposing defenses wouldn't be able to focus solely on him, opening up paths never before explored in his career. Moreover, Butler's presence, a forward who doesn't need to dominate the ball to be impactful, would bring balance to the trio. Butler can guard the opponent's best player, act as a secondary facilitator, and take responsibility in clutch moments. He's the kind of partner Giannis has never consistently had, someone with a similar mindset, willing to do the dirty work, to face big games with composure and courage. And at the center of it all is Curry, a player who, despite all his individual brilliance, has always put the team above everything. His off-ball movement is unmatched. This would allow Giannis and Butler room to operate without the team losing offensive fluidity. What few realize is that, unlike other attempts to form super teams, here, The talents complement each other. They don't clash. This formation also poses a direct threat to the current powerhouses of the Western Conference. Teams like the Denver Nuggets, Minnesota Timberwolves, Oklahoma City Thunder, and even the Los Angeles Clippers would need to rethink their plans if this new Warriors core becomes a reality. Giannis's arrival wouldn't just strengthen Golden State, it would force rivals to reinvent themselves. And you can't ignore the psychological weight of it all. A trio with this defensive and offensive capability completely changes the way opponents prepare for games. Having Giannis protecting the rim, Butler pressing passing lanes, and Curry breaking defenses would be a nightmare combination. The balance of physicality, technique, and basketball IQ in this team would be unprecedented. The transition to this new phase, however, would require the Warriors to part ways with key pieces of their past and present. Draymond Green is not just a player, he's a symbol. His aggressive approach, tactical intelligence, and loyalty to the core have always been pillars of the franchise's winning culture. Letting go of him would be emotionally tough, but realistically, inevitable if the goal is to give Curry the best possible chance to close out his career with another title. Buddy Hield, on the other hand, would be an interesting addition for the Bucks. His reliable long-range shooting would add spacing to Milwaukee's roster, something that could greatly help the development of the young players. He could serve as a stabilizing veteran, someone who keeps the team competitive as the rebuild progresses. The central focus, however, remains on Kuminga and Moody. Both represent the kind of talent teams in transition look for. They're not just athletic, they're sponges, ready to absorb knowledge and grow quickly. In Milwaukee, with more playing time and less pressure for immediate results, they could fully blossom. Kuminga, in particular, has the ideal profile to become the new face of the franchise. Strong, explosive, with an instinct to attack the rim, he could become one of the hardest forwards to guard in the league if he's given time and consistency in his development. And with someone like Green beside him in practice and games, his learning curve would likely speed up. Moody, in turn, resembles those classic players who bring stability to a roster. He may not be the flashiest name, but he's the type of athlete who wins games with intelligence, defense, and timely precision. And with the league's young core becoming increasingly volatile, having someone like him on the roster could be the difference maker in turning a team into a long-term project. As the rumors gain traction, the truth is that this proposal is already shaking the internal structures of both franchises. Not just because of the trade itself, but because of what it represents. For the Warriors, it would be an act of boldness, of not settling for what's been done in the past. A legitimate attempt to write another chapter of glory now with new protagonists. For the Bucks, it would be a chance to start over with dignity, looking to the future without fear of letting go of the past. And for Giannis, it would be the first change of scenery since he arrived in the NBA. A new home, a new fan base, a new mission. But the same goal as always, to win. And if there's a place where he can do that immediately with the support of two of the league's most determined players, that place might just be San Francisco. The NBA is built on cycles. Some end quietly, others with explosions that echo for years. If this trade materializes, it will be the latter. An event that will define an era, change the course of several franchises, and, for better or worse, be remembered as one of the greatest strategic moves of the modern basketball era. The NBA landscape is constantly evolving, and one of the moves that has generated a lot of speculation is the potential arrival of Kai Sotto to the Golden State Warriors for the 2025 season. This rumor has been gaining momentum recently, with reports indicating that the team is in discreet negotiations to secure the signing of the Filipino center, who has been making a name for himself in international leagues. If this transaction goes through, it would not only change the game on the court, but also have a massive impact off the court, especially within the Filipino community, which already feels represented by Sotto in many parts of the world. Standing at 2.18 meters tall, Kai Sotto stands out as an imposing presence on the court, but his influence goes beyond his height. He is a complete athlete, whose skills make him one of the most exciting prospects in the NBA. His combination of height, wingspan, and technical abilities is rare, As a defender, Sotto is an effective shot blocker, using his excellent reaction time and long wingspan to protect the rim. But it's not just his defense that catches attention. His offensive ability, especially his mid-range shooting, sets him apart from many other centers in the league. His versatility on offense makes him a key asset for teams that prioritize modern basketball, which demands diverse skills from its players. Kai Sotto's development didn't happen overnight. Born in the Philippines, a country where basketball is almost a religion, he quickly drew attention due to his natural talent and, most importantly, his dedication. His journey as a player began early, but to reach an international level, he had to venture outside his homeland. This led him to play in the National Basketball League, NBL, in Australia, where he faced a much higher level of competition. His ability to stand out in such a competitive setting solidified him as a cornerstone player for his teams, both offensively and defensively. Kai not only proved his worth but also became an icon of Filipino basketball, showcasing the potential of the nation on the global stage. Kai Sotto's journey continued when he moved to the B-League in Japan. There, he had the chance to further develop, facing top-tier opponents while taking the name of the Philippines to new heights. His adaptation to international basketball was remarkable, and his skills as a defender and his ability to represent Filipino culture made him one of the most admired players in the league. Now, with the possibility of joining the NBA, Sotto feels ready to take on the greatest challenge of his career so far, and the team that might help him in this process is the Golden State Warriors, a franchise known for its fast and dynamic style of play. But beyond being an innovative team, the Warriors also have a clear need in their roster: the lack of a dominant presence in the paint. This has been a deficiency that, while the team has overcome it in many seasons with its fast-paced play and three-point shooting, remains an area that could be strengthened. And this is exactly where Kai Sotto fits in. If signed, Kai's impact on the Warriors would be immediate. His ability to grab rebounds, both defensively and offensively, would provide a significant advantage to the team, especially during fast breaks, which are a hallmark of the Warriors' playing style. Additionally, his ability to protect the rim would be a valuable addition to the team's defense. In moments when the team needs a strong presence in the paint, Sotto could be the player capable of making a difference. The Warriors' offense would also benefit from his presence. His ability to shoot mid-range would open up more space for perimeter players, allowing the Golden State team to further explore its fast-paced plays and three-point shooting. Sotto's offensive flexibility is something the Warriors need to continue innovating and remain one of the top forces in the NBA. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any updates. Hit the bell to get the latest news firsthand. Thank you for watching and see you next time.